ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Let It Rip Sports Show. I was watching ESPN yesterday, Tuesday, ESPN First Take, and they were talking about should FSU players be banned from local bars. FSU officials are considering that. And I'll get to that issue later in the video, but before I get to that, I want to talk about Stephen A. Smith went on a kind of a spiel, or a rant, if you will, regarding domestic violence and black people. And he brought up a stat that's in the NFL that since the year 2000, there have been 96 arrests for domestic violence. And of those 96, 94 of those arrests were black people. And he goes on to say that this is a problem. These few people are making it seem that black people treat their women like this and we act like this on a habitual basis. And I'm paraphrasing what he said. I have a link to the video, what he said verbatim, in the description, so you can check that out and see for yourself. But I have a problem with how he framed his argument. I guess what he was trying to say, but I just wish it had been a little bit more nuanced. Because one, he brought up a stat that is kind of skewed because the majority of the players in the NFL are black. So just by that sheer fact, most of the arrests are going to be black because that's the majority of your player base. And Skip Bayless brought that up briefly. It's the same concept with the NHL, who has to deal with domestic violence most recently as well. Slava Voynov for the Kings has been suspended indefinitely for his role in a domestic charge. You have Patrick Waugh, who's been cited. You've had the goalie for the Colorado Avalanche, Semyon Varlamov. He's been in trouble for domestic violence. So you have issues in the NHL where the players are mostly white, and I think there's like less than 1% of black people in the NHL. But if you look at that, if you look at the statistics for domestic violence arrests in the NHL, you're mostly going to see white people because what? It's mostly white people in the NHL. So I think that kind of gave a bad perception that he used for his argument. Also, I wish he had touched on this, the disproportionate policing of black people compared to white people, because black people get arrested twice as much as white people, especially when it comes to possession of drugs. You know, black people are twice as likely to go to jail with possession of drugs than white people are. That's just a stat. So I wish he had brought that up in the unfair policing of black people as a whole, leading to more arrest. Not to say that domestic violence is okay on any level. I'm not saying that at all. But I wish he had made his argument more well-rounded, I guess. What I think he was trying to say, though, is that a byproduct of your notoriety, whether you're a player for a D1 program or the NFL, as a byproduct of your notoriety, you are, in essence, a representative of black people, because that's just how the world works now. Is that fair? Absolutely not. But anytime you do something wrong, you're given a perception of how that culture is, good or bad. And most recently, it's been bad with the stat he did bring up. But at the same time, to call that a black issue, I think trivializes the issue of domestic violence, because it's not just a black problem. This is a societal problem that we have to attack head on. We have to change some things, or change a lot of things actually, when it comes to domestic violence. But you can't just say it's just a black problem because one group in the professional sport happens to be mostly black and they've been arrested for domestic violence. I think that kind of takes a very micro view to a macro issue. So that's my take on his spiel that he gave. Feel free to leave comments and tell me what you think. Tell me, is my argument off base, or my critique of Stephen A. Smith's argument off base, or do you agree with it, or do you have another viewpoint that you like to share. Now, going back to should Florida State University players be banned from going to local bars? No, that's a bad idea. That's just a bad idea, because you're just gonna force them to either sneak out and go to the bars anyway, or find another outlet which will just spill over. It's the same thing like when they try to do with prohibition, where they said, okay, all alcohol ban. And what did they do? They found ways. They had bootleggers. They created speakeasies just to keep going out and drinking. So you limiting their venues is not going to help have the players act right. What they need to do is talk to every player and say, look, you got to know yourself better. Know how many drinks it takes for you to say, hey, I'm out of control right now, I need to go. And then two, they should implement like a support system for guys, because us normal people, we do that all the time. When we go out to a bar, we go out with the squad. We say, hey, you guys want to go out tonight? Yeah, let's go out tonight. And in every squad, whether it be male or female, you got one or two people who sit there who are kind of like the watchdogs. Okay, you had too much to drink. It's time for us to go because you're about to wild out, or you're on the verge of wilding out. And when I mean wild out, those people who drink and all of a sudden they want to fight somebody, or they just end up being stupid and they piss somebody off. That's what I mean. You got your watchdogs and say, hey, Jim, we gotta go. We gotta go. It's time to go. You're acting out. We don't need an altercation right now. That's what you need to do. Have a support system. Have a squad. A whoop pack, if you will. Do that. But you limiting them going to the bars, that's not smart. That's not smart, FSU. Don't do it. Don't do it. So, that's my take on Stephen A. Smith's rant, and that's my take on FSU possibly banning players from local bars. Please feel free to leave comments giving your critique of my arguments or a different viewpoint. Tell me what you guys think about these two topics. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Literate Sports Show. And once again, I'm your host, Eldridge Bell II. Thank you for watching.